Brakken, I am proud of the running public. Can you think as to
Good.
why?
Nope.
Yeah, well, there's many reasons, right? You're sifting through so many reasons in your head why we could be proud of our listeners. You just can't pick one, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Yeah, saved you there.
Correct.
So we put
so
out...
many reasons we could be proud of them.
That's what I'm saying. So we came out with our Training Tuesday episode a day late. That was on me because I was feeling sick and I asked to record a day later. So you can't yell at Brakken for that. But nonetheless, yesterday we came out with our Training Tuesday on Wednesday. And that's a short window. We put that episode out like 24 hours ago. And I am going to say I have had... Well, and the episode was about why you should watch professional running. And we talked about our favorite races, some things to guide people to. And I think already I've had a half a dozen messages from people sharing their favorite races that they think I should watch or that you should watch. And it goes to show me that we have an educated listener base that are already consuming media, enough that they're so passionate about it, they wanted to share with us what they thought their favorite races were to go back and watch. So I think that just is a testament to the educated, consuming crowd of our listenership. Already, that many messages.
That's great.
I think so.
I do want to clarify, too, that our recommendations were the things we think would get people into it the best. They may have overlapped with some of our favorite races. Mm-hmm. But we have a whole another queue of our favorite races to watch. So if there's demand for it, either in a social media post or in a Training Tuesday or even just an intro to an episode, we can give out our full list of races that we love watching. And some of them do overlap, but a lot of them don't.
In fact, we could come up with like a static post or a reel on our Instagram, laying it out so then it's right in front of people.
Yeah.
They can go down the list. I had somebody reach
even
out.
do a YouTube playlist.
Yeah, YouTube playlist. That'd be a good idea. I had somebody reach out. I have a consult with her. Maybe she's listening. I don't know. I have a consult with her next week. She's running Grandma's Marathon. She's local, running the Afton Trail Race, which I run every year. And then she asked me, she wanted to be prepared to talk OCR in our consult call. But the impression is she's never done OCR. So I'm assuming by listening to us, she is somehow, her interest is curious. And she said, I can't find a good resource out there, like explaining exactly what it is or like what to expect, right? Like, how do I get an overview of OCR? For those of you who don't know, that stands, for obstacle course racing. And I was like, you know what? You make a good point. And so I said, I thought the best way for you to understand the sport would be to go watch a race or two on YouTube. And I sent her a link or two links. But I don't know, is there another way to like help somebody understand what it is other than watching it?
No, I don't think so. When I got ready to do my first, that was 2011, and there was very little information about what it was, and it was YouTube short little clips from Spartan Race and people with GoPros. That's what I watched. And still to this day, when I do a race, I just go and find people's GoPro footage from the year before so I can get a read of what the course is like. So I think watching it is the closest you'll ever get to learning about it, or the best way you can learn about it.
Yeah, those shitty GoPro videos, which it's great people do them, but like they can be frustrating to watch if you're trying to learn. Like it's a blurry image of going over a wall or like going through an obstacle because their head's swinging all over. That's where I started too.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to learn the course.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask you a quick question. We're not going to dwell on this today. We're recording this on a Thursday. Typically, this is released on a Friday if you're listening to it then. But I have a race on Saturday, Grandma's Half Marathon. We've kind of talked about it in the last few weeks and months leading up. I have not been to work since Monday. If you can sound, I got a baritone voice going on today, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, if I should show up and race. I'm not interested in completion. That has no interest to me, and I'm not interested in running notably slower, even though I'm trying very hard. I had a tough run on Tuesday. I was about 30 to 45 seconds a mile slower with the same heart rate, that target zone. Normally I run around 7-minute pace or under for my recovery runs, heart rate in the 130s. I was down to almost 750 a mile. That was Tuesday. So about, and then I said, well, I want to show up like kind of ready. So if I do show up, so I did a short treadmill interval session yesterday, backed off the pacing and effort just to keep routine, right? And that workout told me as well that I'm still not feeling better. Shocking. So today's going to be a rest day. What do you think? Like, how close can you cut it? Or do you show up and say, hey, the training's in there, the fitness is in there, and I'll find a way? What would you do?
I wouldn't race.
Really?
Only because you're only targeting time.
Which is true.
Now, that being said, you're on the low end of oxygen uptake in a half marathon of what would be considered highly demanding oxygen uptake.
Okay.
It's still a fine line, but if it were a 5K or a 10K or a mile, like, you're going to be severely limited. The slower it gets, the more you can get by on other pieces of your fitness.
True.
But
is this the time for
you're right
EPO?
on the half marathon. I don't know if. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Tongue in cheek, folks.
Tongue in cheek, folks. What would do it? Yeah. There was just a talk about drug use last week, and on Race Brain this week, we talked about drug use and high rocks. So this is very much tongue in cheek.
Okay.
I don't know. If you're only racing for time, things have to be at least decent. And if you're 30 to 40 seconds per mile slower right now, that's not decent.
I don't think I would be that
run
much.
2 miles at half marathon pace today. Just see what it feels like and then call it.
So I went to the doctor. I went to the doctor yesterday, and we'll move on from this. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing about all this. And I was like, listen, I have grandma's in 3 days, and it's probably a virus. I got this nasty, thick green stuff coming down my throat. I'm coughing it up, chills, all that stuff. But I'm functional, right? I don't have a fever or anything. I said, help me out. And he goes, well, I'm running grandma's in 3 days as well. Let's do whatever we can to get you better. She's like, I normally wouldn't prescribe meds, but because you've only been sick for 5 days or whatever, 4 days, but in case this is bacterial, let's just give you some antibiotics and see what happens. So I'm on day 2 of them, and we'll see if it does anything or not. But he said explicitly, like, I get it. I got a runner doctor. I got lucky. He's like, I wouldn't give these to you. You haven't been sick long enough to warrant them, but let's roll the dice. So that's where I'm at. So if it is the case and I wake up tomorrow, Friday, feeling better, then maybe I'll head on up. And if I wake up race morning and don't feel good, maybe I could be a spectator. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but I do want to. Good destiny, Kirk.
Thank you. Yes.
I had a question. I only have one question.
Okay, then we'll get to the episode.
That's not true. I have 2 questions.
All right.
The first is the most important question. You have the Metaspeed Sky. You have the Vaporfly. You have the Alphafly. You have the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3.
Yep.
You also have the one. I'm trying to think whatever.
You know me so intimately.
Deviate Nitros.
Uh-huh.
I know.
God, it's like knowing what kind of underwear I'm wearing today.
Well, if you were racing, it would be probably runderwear.
See, this is getting creepy, Brakken, but continue.
But they'd probably be gray, maybe black.
Okay.
So.
Black.
Black. In my mind, there's only 2 of those as real option. Oh, there's 3. I think it's Vaporfly, Alphafly, or Metaspeed Sky, and I think you would really, for 13 miles, only consider at that pace Metaspeed Sky or Alphafly, and I would assume Alphafly. Brand new pair of your original Alphaflies. Is that indeed what you're doing?
Yep, Alphafly. The original Alphafly one, and I have a brand new pair still in the box. I hoarded these things when I realized they're going to be at tough demand. And then I have one with maybe, 40 miles on them. I'll wear that pair, of course. Alphaflies, the Metaspeed Sky is a great shoe. I'm a little heavy. I weighed in at the doctor at 173 yesterday, which for me is on the heavy side. And I think the Alpha, just gives me a little more. The Metaspeed's a fast shoe, but it's just a little less and a little harsher. But you're right. Saucony Endorphin Pro's a great shoe. I wouldn't wear it for a half. Vaporfly, I love for faster turnover work. You could argue both of those in a 5K for me, but not the half. So yeah, you're right. Yep. You know me so well. It's impressive.
Well, here's what creepy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the toughest distance to fuel for is that 60 to 90 minute window.
Yeah.
Do you fuel at all? Do you not? Do you just rely on water stations? What is your plan for that?
Great question. Plan would be just one gel and rely on water stations. That simple. I'll take that gel anywhere from 30 to 45. I don't plan to be out there any longer than an hour 15. If I am, I'll probably walk off course. Be like, all right, or just jog it in, right? That sounds pompous, but it's true. Like it's a business trip. If I'm not going to get their business, so to speak, I'm not interested. The business being running fast. So, one gel and water stations. I don't need much. It's going to be cool. 58 degrees. It's supposed to stay there. Nice temps, nice conditions with the tailwind possibly. So that'd be. I could go with nothing for that whole time. I don't think it would affect my performance. But one gel will be a safety net, and maybe a swig or two of water will be a safety net. I think most will do that. Who's running under an hour 15? I would guess.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, but I will say, folks, there's more to life than racing, and some people, I understand, life is tough. And things don't always go your way. You have bad races. You get sick at bad times. It's going to be okay, folks. Like, I've had a few messages this week being like, oh, man, I hope you feel better, and da-da-da. I'm like, that's very kind. But, like, my life isn't so bad that if I can't go race this weekend, like, I'm giving up on everything. Like, just find something else to put your energy in. There's more races. There's more days. This isn't a woe is me. This is a no big deal. I'll find a good way to spend my Saturday in a different way if I don't go race, and I'll find another one later. It's all good, guys. We don't need to take this so seriously. Life's going to be fine. So I'm going to be fine if I don't race. But thank you for a few messages. I just think people sometimes choose to be sad. Don't choose to be sad.
I do, Kirk. I'd be super bummed. So you're handling it better than me.
Oh, whatever. All right. So you had a good idea for today's.
I had that talk with Mira last night. I said, hey, you're choosing to make this worse. Choose to make this better.
Don't you think people who have a bad day, in quotes, or those who are always like, bah humbug or woe is me, and you know the type. I have dozens, I know. It's a choice. I know sometimes people have chemical imbalances and life does throw bad cards at you once in a while, and that's all fine and well, but it's usually a choice. I feel like it's usually a choice. We don't need to get philosophical today, but let's move on.
No. Well, not to toot our own horns, but I've had two people in the last week tell me, you are very calm in situations I would be losing my mind in. Where does that come from? And I think it comes from sport. I think that's a learned piece of armor. It's a coping mechanism from athletics that extends into real life, that you can run around with your hair on fire, assuming you have hair, or you can just decide, no, I'm just going to douse this thing. And it may still be terrible, but I'm at least going to act the part. And I believe very strongly in acting the part.
Is this coming from some of the stories you've told on the podcast and how you've like kept your cool and made the right decision?
No, just interactions like people at the racetrack when things go wrong out there. And or people get into arguments. There's a lot of arguments and cattiness at the track, and
Oh, sure.
conversations have to be had from time to time. Anyway, not to dwell on that, but I do believe you're right that you can choose to make things worse yourself, or you can choose to be the factor that starts making things better. And that usually comes from calm and putting things in perspective.
Yeah, that's good insight. I think sport teaches us a lot. Pressure can pop its head up in any other part of life. And once you've exposed yourself to pressure, how many times you start to be cool under pressure. Cool, at least fake
That's
it.
That's right.
All right, so let's get to this episode here today, Brackenstein.
Okay. All right, so we had Global Running Day 2 weeks ago, Kirk, and we didn't even really say anything about it.
Now, how come you didn't post on your social media about it like you always do every day, posting about running on your social media?
I was taking a sabbatical from social media, Kirk, and it's working very well.
How many posts a year do you put on social media? 4? What's the over-under?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say 8 to 10.
Okay, it's not bad.
If you count stories, probably full 20.
I look back on mine when I was trying to grow my business, and I would post every day. I mean, 365 days a year. If I missed a day or two, now once every 2 weeks at most, and usually it's like I should probably put up something to do with running. I should probably do it. Like it's not even top or bottom of mind. It's like out of my mind. I think that's aging. I don't know.
That's what we'll call it, aging.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
we are 16 and a half minutes in here, and we are enjoying the topic. For Global Running Day, there's a website called Peanut Butter Runner, and it's run by Jen Eddins. And we have no association with her, but what she did was she did 15 running questions for Global Running Day. And I am going to pose those questions to you. And Jen doesn't know us. We don't know Jen. But I'm going to tag her in this and give her credit right now and on social media so that this is all above board here. But I thought it was a good question or a good idea. The running community loves chatting running, and not every runner has a friend who runs to chat running with. So we're going to have that conversation right now with a few thousand of our closest friends who are runners. And I'm going to finally be able to be the one that asks you the questions rather than our Q&As where you have the queue in front of you. So, Jen, thank you for this. Peanut Butter Runner. I'm a big peanut butter fan. I eat peanut butter and jelly almost every single morning. So, I don't know what her relationship to peanut butter is, but kindred spirits here. Kirk, you on board with this?
Yeah, and I think being a runner is synonymous with peanut butter consumption. It just feels right. In fact, I think that would be my second choice for the name of this podcast if it wasn't already taken. It draws me in. So, Jen, you did a good job there. Peanut butter runner.
You don't think KB Corral would have stuck?
KB Corral. No. What is it?
That's going to come out in some form, whether it's going to be a poster or an album cover of like the greatest hits or something, but it's going to be you and I in our jeans with a cowboy hat on, leaning up against a fence, the KB Corral.
When Brakken and I were naming this podcast, or attempting to, that was Bracken's lead choice, was the KB Corral.
Not my lead.
Yes, it was.
It might have been my lead.
All right, let's.
Kirk was the voice of reason, came up with the running public, and it's the best thing that either of us have still ever done.
All right, let's get to this thing.
Would you rather run along a beach path or a mountain trail?
We're real quick, I guess. So these all vary. Like, if we wanted, we could be done with this episode in 15 minutes type questions. But we're going to expand, I assume.
Yeah, we take as long as we want. There's 15 of them.
All right.
Some of them will be quick.
Mountain trail. There's no question.
Mountain trail.
What about you?
Mountain trail.
The beach, although it sounds nice, is uninspiring. I can go run flat out my door, which is what the beach provides. It might be novel once every 6 months, but my interest level is very low. in beachside running. Wouldn't be much different than running anywhere else to me. What about you?
I've run beach paths, boardwalks, trails, roads, or beach itself, many places. Florida, both Carolinas, Alabama, Mississippi, Hawaii, Barcelona. But the Bahamas. Many places have I done it. But my overriding emotion is always heat, unfortunately.
Oh, sure.
I love the water, but I love hills, mountains, trails more than I love water. So I believe that for the vast majority of what would we call recreational runners, I think the beach would be the choice. But I have a calling to trails and mountains that is absolutely undeniable. And so every single time I would choose the mountains.
Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument if you're one of those perverts who likes to look at a lot of skin while you run. If that does it for you, fine, go to the beach.
I didn't expect that to be part of this today, Kirk.
But I prefer the bears and the woods and the trees over all of that. And I will say, the trails, the running seems to go by quicker. There is built-in areas of pushing and relaxing based on topography, which is nice for the everyday runner. Suddenly it's like, wow, I'm working hard today. Maybe that's a good thing for you. It forces you to be a little bit more of an athlete. The beach doesn't do that. I would say from just a pure, who cares about enjoyment, from a stimulus standpoint, the trails win every single time. That's how I feel about it.
All that being said, I've had some spectacular runs along Lake Michigan with Lisa. They have very good bike walking paths down there, and I get the allure. I do. But I still choose mountain.
All right.
This next one's a good one, and I think it says a lot about who you are as a person.
Really?
You ready for this? Yes.
I am.
Out and back, or point to point, or loop run? What are you? Are you an out and back runner, a point to point, or a loop runner? Now, there's going to be two answers. There's going to be the one we do out of necessity and the one we would do if we had our druthers.
If it's a business trip, I like an out and back. I'm going to go hit an 8-mile tempo. I'll have the same exact roads. It'll be more of an objective measure. I will go out and back. I'm going to start and end at the same elevation. I'm going to repeat the exact same stretch of road. So most all of my tempo, interval, float workouts, I'm going straight out till I hit halfway, and I'm coming straight back to where I started 9 out of 10 times. The only exception to that would be a nice loop. I have a 3/4 mile loop that's pretty flat by my house, and I will just run that as my tempo space. But out and back is the least fun thing to do. But when it's business, it's not about fun. I'm going with a mission. So out and back, all recovery work loop. Just keep me with new scenery the whole way, and that will be better than anything else. So I'm going to separate two different types of runs there. What about you?
Yeah. I'm the same. And I think it's because we are the same, where we train to race or to compete or to perform as much as we train for enjoyment. So I think if I look back to all the places I've lived, whenever my training really gets into a groove, I think I'm doing probably 70 to 80% of my runs as out and backs.
Oh, sure.
Even on trails. That's just what I end up going to. I think part of it is the metric comparison, the lack of thinking, following directions is easier, and it's sterile, which is weird since I choose mountains over beach. But yeah, right. Out and back and loops. Loops make up the rest of it. The only time I ever go point to point is I don't know if I really ever do, but just occasionally to get someplace, like running from a friend's house home, or that's really it. Or running from, I have very few of them, but I think it's the most exhilarating form of running is get to a point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the thing you do least in this world. So if I had to run a race out in trails or nature or something like that, I think I would design it, if I wanted to do my absolute best and have the most fun, as a point to point. But I am comforted by the out and back. And secondarily, then, yeah, a loop. I think I'm just the same as you.
Well, out and back is the same as a point to point in the sense where once you're there, you have to get back. And so it's built in like, I went out 8 miles, now I got to come back. Or I got dropped off 16 miles out, I got to come back. So if you're one of those who likes to skimp or cut it short, for whatever reason, you could take the long loop or the short loop. It's a good option for you. When I was in high school and early college, I'd have my dad trip the odometer on his truck, drive me out, say, Dad, I need to run like 14 miles today. And he'd go 14 miles down the dumb county road and be like, okay, drop me off. And I'd have to get back. And I remember that being a good strategy for me at the time. And we didn't have GPS watches. The only way I knew how far I went is when Dad tripped the odometer and then dropped me off. So I used to employ that. I will have two things I want to bring up.
Okay.
People ask me, like, non-runners or novice runners will say, like, oh, what shoes do you run in? I'll be like, well, I have 30 pairs in my closet that are in some sort of rotation. And they're like, what? And I'm like, listen, there's a golf club for every shot and there's a shoe for every run, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a golfer, you'd understand.
Beautifully put, Kirk.
Yep, and that's the phrase I use. And I think the same thing with less options goes for the route you choose. So let me explain. So if you're a student and you're threading the needle with your fitness, which I hope a lot of you are doing, and by that I mean you're really trying to execute. You're splitting hairs. You're doing everything you can to be your best. So I have a rule, and it's the 10 mile per hour wind rule, okay? And that is, if the wind is 10 miles per hour or more and I have a quality day, my only option is a loop because it's going to even itself out throughout the course. Meaning, like, I'll pick a local block or I'll pick something where I'm going to get a tailwind, I'm going to get a headwind, and it should smooth itself out through the effort. So my 8 mile tempo that I would prefer out and back, I may pick a half a mile loop in my neighborhood and just repeat, because it's going to smooth itself out. Because I don't want the wind to throw me off. 1 mile into the wind, 1 mile. Mm-hmm. So that's rule number 1, 10 mile per hour wind rule. I'll even go to the track. I'd prefer going to the track and getting blown on than running into the wind for 4 miles and 12 mile an hour wind and then having it at my back on the way back. It would just mess with me. The other thing
I'm the
is
exact
that the wind
opposite.
Really? Well, let me get to this. And then if it's 10 or under,
yeah, go for it.
I will pick an out and back. And then strategically, my out will be into the wind. I will pick whatever road or route mostly puts me into the wind on the way out, and then mostly has the wind at my back on the way back. Even if it says like 8 miles an hour and I look out and I see the trees are just moving a bit, I typically decide that way. And I will look at the weather app. I live and die by that thing. Every morning I'll pick it up and be like, how do I decide my route on quality days? Do you have anything like that you do?
Yeah. Summer, I go out with the wind, back into the wind. In winter, I go out into the wind, back with the wind. So it's reverse. In summer, I get hot on the way out and cools me on the way back and forces me to hold my form together. And in winter, I get cold on the way out and then turn around and warm up on the way back rather than get sweaty on the way out, turn around and freeze to death on the way back. So I follow temperature more than I follow purpose of workout.
Well, I mean, we have, as long as you have what you consider your own logic for those decisions, then it's all good. Just be consistent with it. I will say, if I planned a time trial and the wind is over 10 miles an hour, I'll push it back a day because I just don't want the 10 mile an hour thing.
Yeah.
For me, it makes a lot of my decisions. And here where I live, we have these long stretches of county roads, which is where I do a lot of my business work, we'll call it. And you can either get one at your back or face, and it can be for miles in a row. So it's a little different than city running because I just have these long stretches of road that it makes a big difference. So anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's very complete. Number 3,
complete.
And this is a good one as well. I feel like, again, Jen, kindred spirits, because we just released an episode on heat training and training through summer for a fall race, what your workouts mean in the heat, what they don't need to mean, that whole kind of thing. Go back and check that out if you didn't catch that. Would you rather train through the winter for a spring race or train through the summer for a fall race?
There's only one answer up here, and it's through the summer for a fall race. That's how I feel. If we were south in the country, very different story. But we're the 44th parallel up here, or whatever it is. So what about you?
This is a very difficult one for me because for pure enjoyment, give me training through the winter, spring race every single time. I love winter running. I perform well in the cold, and I will be able to go out and execute just about any workout I need to do. If it's really, really cold, like below zero, if it's icy, if it's crazy wind, I have the treadmill and I have the Pettit National Ice Center, which has an oversized track there. I can do every type of training I need to do, except downhill training. I cannot do downhill training in the Midwest here with any sort of regularity or confidence, which means I have to choose for, if it's mountain or trail at all, I have to choose train through the summer for a fall race. And I think that is the least enjoyable style of training, but it's the most enjoyable style of racing. Fall racing is the absolute best. So yeah, I'm going to choose train through the summer for a fall race, even though I'd rather train through the winter for a spring race.
I find that fall races are more predictable in how you're going to show up and feel. I feel like you come off a hot summer, you might have some tough workouts, metrics might be tough, but there's this like extra layer of adaptation you may get from heat running, and then you get those maybe slightly lower humidity, crisp fall days, and you go out and run, and your body just feels a bit effortless because of the environment, the temperature, the air, all just feels a little bit more inviting. And so a lot of times you can have those, I feel like you can have those fall days where you're floating just due to the fact that your body's not working all systems too hard due to the conditions summer provides. At the same time, it's very invigorating to go out on a spring day that's warmer than it's been, and the muscles are loose and the body is feeling good and the sun is shining and you've been cooped up for months. It feels like there's probably some benefits to that too, but so dark runs in the winter, Brakken. You got intervals coming up and you got ice to deal with. You love it.
Love it.
I feel like most of America's disagreeing with you right now, unless you live in the South.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still choosing summer for fall because I've lived at altitude for 3 years and coming down for races and to travel and see family and whatnot. And the closest thing to that feeling is going from hot, humid Midwest summer to a crisp fall morning the first couple times. That going from heat and humidity to crisp and cool is the closest thing to coming down from altitude that I could describe.
Right.
It's that powerful. So I think I'd rather give it all up in order to feel great on race day and in order to be able to bomb downhills in training, since 50% of what we do at least is trail-based.
So other than temperature, what is it that you like about winter running so much? I guess help me understand.
I like the cold to run in. I don't.
You gave a story about
there's
your bits being frozen off, and it was one of the worst days of your life in the winter.
Yep.
Your little nibbles.
Bad choice, bad gear.
Okay.
Yep. That's true. When it's really hot, I just dread the run. That's all there is to it. And when it's cold, it's like, I can layer up for this. There are people who their hands or their toes or their feet or their face, their ears, or their lungs even, they can't breathe. They can't do quality work in the winter. I'm just lucky that's not me. I've done 5K paced interval work. Ross Weimer and I, when we were prepping and I just chatted with Ross yesterday afternoon for the first time in a while. When we were prepping for the Jacksonville season opener, in what would that have been, 2019, 2021, somewhere in there?
Depends what year. The one where you blew your calf out?
In the first mile and DNF'd? Yeah.
Yeah. 21, I think.
Whatever year. Yeah, 21. We, and maybe this led to that, we were doing 3K paced and effort work on the trails in single-digit temperatures. I didn't have a lung issue with that. That's not like some weird flex. That's just genetically, that's how my body works. So I don't mind. I have access to all ranges of paces down to probably 0 degrees. So I'm not limited. So it really doesn't bother me. If I have good gear on, I'm happy. So that I can't explain it. Heat, on the other hand, like in cold, you get better every step you take. In heat, you get worse every step you take. I'm fine in the heat right up until I'm not. And then it's worse. And that's not the case in the cold. So I prefer cold.
Speaking of heat, I just looked at a message or a response in our Running Public inbox. And we answered a gentleman's question about training in the cold or racing in the heat, or training in the heat and racing when it's cooler. Do you have to take anything like that into consideration? And he said he put something like 90 degrees.
The marathon, I believe, marathon pacing.
Yeah, and he said that the converter he typed it into said that like a 4-hour marathon in 95 degrees converts to like a 3:10 in regular conditions. And
he must live in a humid place then.
That's quite the generous conversion. I can't imagine that's correct. But I want to dive into these heat conversion.
Where is he?
I can pull up the message really quick if you'd like me to.
Yeah, my guess is it's extremely humid because those calculators take humidity into effect. And if it's 95 and extremely humid, I could buy 40 to 50 minutes. I really could over the course of a marathon.
Oh, look at you.
Assuming most of that comes in the last 10 miles.
You're so smart, Brakken. He says, this is Nathan Ritchie. He says, thanks for answering my question on the pod. Context. I live in Indonesia, year-round 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 90% humidity. And I'm racing the Gold Coast Marathon in Australia, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 60% humidity. He says, I was able to find a pace converter online, like you said. I estimate I could run a 4-hour marathon in Indonesia, which converts to a 3:10 in Aussie weather. Pretty big jump. I can't imagine you would find 50 minutes in a marathon due to conditions. That's it's 2 minutes a mile, but nonetheless, somebody needs to update their converter. There's no way.
That is 2 minutes a mile is a lot. I do believe I agree with you on that. However, I don't think you're finding 2 minutes. I think 90% humidity for 3+ hours is robbing you of 2 minutes in the back half. And then 3 minutes and 4 minutes when you just like can't move. That would be my guess. Still, 50 minutes sounds like a lot, but I guess think of a long run. What would your long run be like if you ran it in 60 degrees versus 95 with 90% humidity? I don't know if it's 2 minutes though. I think it's 45 seconds per mile.
I think this converter is counting on you imploding and going from 15 seconds a mile difference to 4 minutes a mile difference on the last 6, and then you end up just in a puddle of your own sweat, crying pathetically, losing time the back.
We talked about our worst runs ever, and one of my top 3 worst runs ever was my first 16-mile run in North Carolina in Bowie's Creek, in the middle of the bean and tobacco fields and cotton fields. Maybe not bean, just tobacco and cotton. And it was like 90 some degrees with 90% humidity. And I crumbled and died after going out in like 6:20 pace, got down to right around 6 flat, and then faded back to the maybe 8-minute mile pace by the end, maybe like 8:30 by the end. But I still, over the course of that run, and it was as bad as it gets, and I stopped and walked a bit. For the course of the run, I wasn't 2 minutes slower per mile. I was 2 minutes slower per mile at the end.
Right.
So I guess to follow up, you said Nate, that was Nate Ritchie.
Uh-oh. You
Did
back?
we lose each other?
We did for a second. We've been having about a 2-second delay as we've been talking. I don't know if you've noticed that, so maybe it just... We're good. We're rolling. We just got a pause on our end,
So that
folks.
was that Nathan Ritchie?
Yeah.
You said? Yeah. So Nathan, what I would do to follow up on the question is I would do your workouts outside at perceived effort and heart rate. And then probably once per week or every other week, I would head inside to a treadmill that you trust, and I would run at goal pace or faster and start calibrating your own temperature controlled conversion. And I would dial it in that way, assuming you have access to a treadmill. And if I'm prepping for a marathon, I would pay for access to a treadmill. That would be worth it to me if you're traveling all the way to Australia. Worth investing in a couple day passes to a gym if you don't have one already. So I think I would attack from both ends just to double check that converter is accurate.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I'm also continually surprised with the number of foreign listeners we have from all over random places. We get so many inquiries. I always wonder how you guys found us, but thank you for listening. Let's go to the next one.
Do you prefer to follow a training plan or wake up and decide then how far and fast you want to run?
If you asked your wife this question, what would she say?
She would decide while she's drinking her coffee.
She may decide mid-run.
Oh, no. She leaves with her map planned out. She uses different colors for each stage of because she's doing the city strides, run every street. She leaves with the most detailed run route of any person I know. But she decides it while she's drinking her coffee that morning.
And maybe she decides how hard she will run in the moment. Just how you feel.
Every day is moderately hard.
Yeah. Perfect training script. I'm in between. Right in the middle. So I intuitively train, and usually within the few days leading up to I do my quality session, which I've decided within days beforehand. I feel out what I need, and I don't know if that's a good plan for most people, but it is for me. I can almost tell what my system, body, or just my emotional runner self is craving. And so what's the next one going to be? And I'll decide that as soon as the most recent one is done. Quality session. All my recovery work is pre-planned. I want to go 10 miles recovery today to hit X amount of mileage for the week. Great. But I'm a 2 to 4 day out. Like, that's what I'm going to do for my next session that matters. And that's all just, I could not have done this years ago. I'm on 3 decades almost of endurance training, 2.5. And I can just tell what I believe is the stimulus I need next, but it's not decided in the morning it's decided a few days prior. And I literally I go through my training that way right now. So I don't know, is that a hybrid approach?
Yeah.
I've done, me and you sat down once, and the only time I've come up with like a 12-week plan or a 16-week plan was for the opener of Spartan U.S. National Series. And it's coincidence, but I had a bad race, and I stuck to the plan, and at times I remember it didn't feel right. Like, I was like, it's not what I feel like I need today, but grand design tells me that I should be doing this workout today. And in hindsight, in the back of my head, I was like, I really should be going for another tempo run, or I should really be doing this. But I stuck to the perfect plan, and it wasn't right for me at the time. So since then, actually, I've always decided days, if not a week out, might be the most, week and a half. But I know your answer, but why don't you explain it?
Yeah, I'm comforted by schedules. It's not even close for me. I love having a long training block ahead of me, knowing that if I just check all these boxes, I know I'm ready. Well, I tend to believe the fitness that I see on paper, and then the fitness I show in a workout or a race. But if I'm not hitting a planned build, my brain likes to tell me that I'm not building planned fitness. Like, it's not guaranteed to come together, even though I know that's not true. If you just hit some version of your work every single day, you're going to get fitter. I need to see it on paper. I take comfort in my training log. I take comfort in the calendar. So I'm very much that. The only caveat to that is that there are days where I just have a feeling that I have to follow. Like, sometimes it starts raining and it's like, I am going outside and I'm running a tempo or a cut down right now.
Sure.
Or something happens like that, and sometimes I just have to pivot and do it because it feels so right. And I believe that when you have the urge to run a certain type of run that's typically demanding or hard, you should just do it. Like, capitalize on that feeling, go get a great one in, adjust the rest of your week to accommodate it. But I love a training plan. I love a schedule to follow.
What you just said is exactly how I actually approach it. I didn't put it in those words, but I'm craving this type of work, or that sounds like mentally the least draining on me and the most exciting. Like, if I'm craving a long grind, or hey, it's sort like that is exactly, I think, the guiding light, like almost more emotionally or mentally what I know I'm going to work hard at and enjoy at the same time, and I just keep picking those as I go. Not easy way out, more like the what do I crave sinking my teeth into today? Which is what you're kind of describing.
Like, you're going to get an interval session, a tempo run, and a long grindy something each week, no matter what. But the order at which they appear are the ones that you're interested in that day. You're not taking the easy way out. You're going to get it all done. But if I want to do something long and grindy today, might as well do it on the day I want to. I understand that completely.
Yeah. A lot of times I find
running's too difficult to hate it.
A lot of times I find curiosity will lead the way with me too. Like, all right, I know I need to spend a lot of time in threshold, or I know I need some efficiency work, or whatever it might be. I don't know what 3x3 miles is going to shake out, but I'm curious to find out. And so then I go hit it out of curiosity, and then they almost give me fitness benchmarks to work from there. Like, I find myself like, what would 4x2 miles shake out to be for average pacing? I don't know. And then I do that workout, and it's, it almost it gauges my fitness more than anything, just scratching curiosity itches. And then I get more and more dialed in through that process on setting expectations for the race coming up. I don't know why, but I feel like I have to scratch the curiosity itch very often with these workouts. A lot of times I don't follow I'm going to do 8 by 1,000, and then I'm going to do 8 by 1,000 a little quicker, and then a little quicker. I find changing it up for me keeps me engaged a little bit more while still achieving the same stimulus.
That makes sense. I get invigorated by getting further into the plan.
Right.
Like a 20-week plan doesn't kill me 10 weeks in. I'm 10 weeks in and I've built momentum and I'm excited for what comes next. And not everyone's wired that way. Just like not everyone's wired to run winter intervals. Not everyone's wired for a long training block. And this is a very personal answer.
Yeah.
This next one, though, Kirk, is like sprinkling a little bit of catnip in front of a cat. What are your favorite running shoes? Now, we're going to limit ourselves to 3. Okay? I can only talk about 3 shoes here, and mostly me. We have an hour left of time, and we will still be here an hour from now if I had my way. So we get to only mention 3 shoes currently.
Well, just like golf shots and clubs, I think we need to dissect it that way. Runs and shoes, what's the purpose? And I'm going to start out with one I don't think you would ever think I'd say. But for my recovery work, which is the majority of the running we do, folks, my Hoka Cliftons just put me right. They're squishy. They're not sexy. I don't ever put those on and be like, I'm feeling good today, I'm going to rip. It's a great shoe, and it keeps me in my place. When I need to go for a recovery run, I put the pillows on. They're a perfect recovery run shoe. And if I had to pick one for just, it could be trails, fine. They'll do fine if I'm recovery effort on a trail. My Hoka Cliftons are going to be my recovery shoe. It's the governor for me. I don't feel fast in them, and that's a good thing. I'm just going to go put time in. So my first shoe is the Hoka Clifton, and it's for non-sexy reasons. It's my starting shoe.
Yeah, I like that. And we're not answering best shoes or fastest shoes. We're saying our favorite shoes. Favorite. And so I'm going to go with non-sexy for you. And it's a shoe you wouldn't have expected either. Okay. Skechers Max Road. I have the 5. They have the 6 out. The Skechers Max Road is a relatively lightweight, very cushioned, everyday running shoe. You can pick up the pace and go quicker in it. Like I could tempo in the shoe if I had to, much like the Clifton. I could tempo in the shoe if I had to. But I wouldn't choose that for it. But if a long run turns into a cut down, I'm going to be just fine in that shoe. But I can also just go out and run. And it's the kind of shoe that when I slide my foot into it, my foot just says, yep, this was made for me. It's got a weird upper, and everyone complained about it, and it just works for me. So the Skechers Max Road, 5 or 6, they might even have the 7 coming out. It would be my just neutral do-it-all training shoe.
You've always been a Skechers fanboy, long as I can remember. And you're going against the grain there. You don't hear many people go to Skechers. You used to be on the GoMeb or the Razor. Nobody really even pays them much attention, and yet you've been one of their supporters.
Yeah, when they started their performance line, their racing shoes were way better than they had any right being. The GoMeb Speed and the Razor were just really good shoes. And they pretty much stopped making really good performance shoes with the Razor 3 and the GoMeb Speed 6. After that, it was just, they haven't really put anything out exciting since then. But what they learned in those shoes exists in their daily trainers now. A good, semi-supercritical, but kind of firm, dense, but light foam. And it works really well when it's unplated, or they call it their H-plate. It's like a plastic H-shaped just support piece in there. And I don't know what happened to their performance line. It's kind of dropped off the map, but their Go Run Ride and the Max Road are both really good just daily training shoes. So there was a time where I would have happily been sponsored by Skechers and run everything in their shoes. The only thing they really didn't have was a gnarly trail shoe. That's not the case anymore. Razor has gone off the rails. Their super shoes never really came around. But their daily trainers, they still got something going on there that my feet like.
Of all brands, especially with the Razor, Skechers was almost ahead of their time with the foam they put in that shoe. They were on like the leading edge of foam. It was bizarre. And all the other companies, like, I don't know, that foam was special at the time. It was like, wow, it's squishy but responsive.
Yeah. For like a year or two, I think they had the best foam in the game.
It's bizarre.
And then everyone moved on and started playing with it, and they haven't taken another step forward since. But for that brief moment in time, Skechers was the most advanced running foam on the planet.
Yeah.
and for kids that grew up in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, it's just saying the word Skechers with advanced or performance is still strange for my tongue.
That'd be like if Vans came out with like a performance running shoe. You'd be like, oh yeah, the Vans, or their 5K shoe.
Or if in 10 years, Crocs is like all people are wearing at the start line of the Olympic trials.
Yeah. Or like JNCO came out with like performance tights or a split short. Like my JNCO split shorts.
That would be where it's at.
All right.
All right, so we touched upon easy. What is your second favorite shoe?
Well, the Clifton's not my favorite shoe. It serves a purpose. It's my pitching wedge. I need it for those easy, short, comfy shots.
Yep.
The most versatile shoe for the roads, honestly, is the Alphafly. The Alphafly 1. It's going to be one of my 3. I can run recovery work in that. It's soft enough to help me not take impact. And I can race anything from a mile to a 50 mile in that shoe. 100 mile. I could run any ultra distance on the roads, but I could still race a mile in that shoe, and it may be the best shoe for me for even the mile, which is like a range that you can't really put on any other shoe that I'm aware of, but I can get on my toes in the shoe. It saves my legs for longer stuff, and it's fast. It's just a fast shoe. So the Alphafly literally takes care of all of my needs. It's like eating peanut butter and jelly every day and being happy with it. Like I never could get sick of it. I think the Alphafly is that shoe for me. I love that shoe for so many things. So Alphafly, and Alphafly 1 in particular, I haven't run in the new 3, but Alphafly, it just covers the bases. Oh, it's sweet.
It's bizarre because it is the most non-functional shoe for a lot of people's feet or strides. But if it works for you at all, you can run 9-minute pace down to 4-minute pace in that shoe. And you can run, like you said, 1 mile to 50 mile. If it works for you at all, it'll work for everything. And it doesn't make any sense. That shoe wants to be hit in a forward lean, 4-foot strike, launch me forward type of way. That's the only way it wants to run fast. But you can also heel strike and just run easy in that shoe. And it doesn't make any logical sense why that is.
And that was, you just took the words out of my mouth. I have a forward lean. I'm a little chesty. And with that forward lean, it's like compounding positive interest in forward propulsion. And so it just works. If you're a real upright runner, I could see it being a problem. But for me, with the forward lean, it hits the sweet spot.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going to pivot, and it's going to be the shoe directly above me. I believe this is the modern day Alphafly successor, the Mizuno Rebellion Pro 2. I
just saw Rich Ryan
a lot of similarities.
Do a post about that, right?
Yep. Yeah. It shares a lot of similarities. It wants to be run, even more so than the Alpha, it wants to be run in one single way. It has a sweet spot that when you hit your foot into the ground with a certain type of mid to 4-foot landing in a certain angle, it compounds your energy you put into it, and this baby sends you flying. Unlike the Alpha, there is no secondary route to run in it because it quite literally, if you're watching on YouTube, does not have a heel. There is no heel up there on that bad boy. So there is no 8-minute pace. There is no 9-minute pace. I shouldn't say paces. There's no slow stride. You can run 9-minute pace if you're able to 4-foot strike. That's fine. If you can forward lean into 10-minute pace, you could run 10-minute pace in that shoe. But you cannot drop back onto your heels. It is very disjointed feeling. It's not nice, but it's so much fun when you're using it as it wants to be used that it is my favorite super shoe of all time from that, just the pure wow standpoint.
So that shoe has a very hard pivot point about 2/3 of the way back in the shoe. The heel rises. Yes. So there's like literally, if you were to heel strike, your toes would be 3 inches in the air. If you were landing flush with the angle. So my question is, can you midfoot strike? Yeah, can you midfoot strike on that shoe and get away with it? Okay.
You can, but you need to hit with the correct lean, and then you're good.
Is that a shoe that you think would suit me well? This is a selfish question.
I do. Now, you put them on briefly in the cabin during our romantic getaway. So
I didn't put them on. Oh, maybe I did put them on.
Oh, you didn't.
I don't remember. You showed them to me. I know that.
Anyway, I think it would work. I think.
What's the price point?
I bought a second pair because the The 3 started being rumored to come out, and I was afraid they were going to change something on it, specifically the bottom, because the bottom has these little nubby grippers on it that works really well for high rocks carpets. So I bought a second pair a half size down, so now I have a snug pair for ripping, and I have a slightly roomy pair for going longer. So the next time we're together, I'll have 2 pairs, and you can rip in one, and I'll rip in the other, and we're just going to be like Rocky and Apollo Creed on the beach.
If I'm going to, what's the price point? 2 something, I assume? 200 range? 250?
They are, but I don't know what. I got the second pair. I got it for like $140 because they were on sale on Amazon.
Well, that's the shoe.
I don't think they're still like that.
If I'm going to spend money on a shoe I don't even know if I'll enjoy, you take every 6 months I'll buy a pair of shoe that's like a wild card. That'd be it.
There's still a $140 on Amazon.
Are you serious?
See what size.
Maybe I'll go buy them now before the listeners hear it and sneak them out from underneath me.
I don't know. I'm not full screen here.
All right, but they're not like a $270 super shoe like the Alphafly is.
They are. They start at $250, but you can find them cheaper.
Excuse me, sorry.
You're good.
All right, well, we can move on.
Anyway,
let's go to our third
you
shoe.
You can find them.
Well, here's the deal.
Third shoe, do it.
You need a trail shoe, right? Like, can we possibly go without addressing the trail shoe?
No.
I'm struggling with this one. I don't think I've found my fast racing trail shoe. I've found Old Faithful, which is the Speed Goat 5, which I can race in and I can long run in and I can do. So it's my jack of all trades, but it's master of none. Without question, Speed Goat 5 is a master of none, but I've run really well on the trails, long trail races in the Speed Goat. So by default, I want to say that, but I don't know if I can, and I'm at a loss as to what I would pick. And so I can't train in these flashy shoes. Like, I would like to say the Hoka Evo Jaws there's no faster feeling shoe out there on the trails. But I can't do a long run in those. Do you know I have 2 pairs of Hoka Evo Jaws in the boxes still because you can't get them anymore, right?
Really?
Yeah, I have a whole stack. I think I have 6 boxes of shoes which are unopened. A pair of Alphaflys, a pair of original Vaporflies, 2 pairs of Evo Jaws, a pair of VJs that I haven't touched yet that are just like waiting because I'm afraid, they're going to change the model or they're going to discontinue them. So that's how much I love the Evo Jaws, but I can't train on hard packed trails and go for a 3-hour long run in those. So I'm going to have to go with my Speed Goat 5s. I'm going to be grumpy if I have to show up for like a 10K trail race, and that's my option because I know I can run faster in other shoes. And I believe the Tecton 2 is probably the perfect fit, but I haven't run in it yet. So Speed Goat 5, to nobody's surprise, there it is. I know you're not going to pick that shoe.
Well, I'm not going to. I think you were made for the new Terex Agravit Speed Ultra. I believe that's what it's called now.
Okay.
Anyways, it's Adidas super shoe for the trails, but it's only $180, I want to say. It sounds crazy now to say only $180 for a pair of shoes.
Ugh.
I think it's right around that. But the reviews on it is that it's as dynamic of a trail shoe as anyone's ever found. But it's narrow in the midfoot and has to be run mid to forefoot. There's no other option.
What shoe is it? I'm going to text
might be a good
myself.
fit for something like that.
Right now, I'm texting myself that because I'm on the
I
market.
gotta pull up the exact.
Me and the Saucony Endorphin Edge was a great training fit, but a terrible racing fit. So that was my last exploration. It didn't work out. So tell me what it's called.
So there's 2. There's the Terex Agravik Speed Ultra, and that starts at $220.
Agravik? The heck does that mean?
Agravic. I'm sure it's French.
Adidas Terex Agravik what?
Speed Ultra.
Why are these names
What
so
Rich and I
long
have
these
decided
days?
is if there's not 4 names, it's not a legit super shoe. So this checks that box. It has 4 names. If it's only 3, it's a sub super shoe.
So Nike Alphafly, not cool, not worth it.
Alphafly 3, sorry, not cool anymore. And then there's the regular Terex Airvix Speed, not Ultra. And that's like their stripped down version. Little lighter, not as crazy, not as plated. Those 2 are very good shoes by all accounts, but I haven't run in either yet.
All right. Well, I just text myself. That's how I text reminders. And I will look into them. Thank you, Brakken. What's your shoe? What's your pick?
I'm going to be quick on mine. I've been loving the Salomon Pulsar Soft Ground. Love it, love it, love it. But right now, my favorite shoe is the VJ Lightspeed.
It's a good shoe.
I just really like it.
It's a good shoe.
It's fun to run in for me. And I just took it on technical terrain for the first time, and it did fairly well. It was a little more unstable than other shoes, but it's plated. It's going to be a little more unstable, but it did fairly well.
But you could go do long trail runs in it.
It's fun on the flats. I haven't gone longer than an hour yet in that shoe.
See, I'm thinking from the perspective, like I need, like with the Alphafly and with the Clifton, they cover all my bases. I can do anything I want in those. So I'm looking at this through the lens of like, I need a shoe that I can do everything in. That's why I'm having a hard time with this.
No, I'm just choosing my most fun right now.
Okay.
Most enjoyable.
Cool.
Because that Mizuno Rebellion Pro 2 is not my do everything super shoe.
Right.
But it's just so much fun.
All
That's
right.
it. I'm going to cut myself off. This next one I think will be very quick for us. Would you rather start your run uphill and end downhill, or start downhill and end uphill?
Start uphill and end downhill. It's fun to rip at the end.
Yep.
Without question. There's much of an argument from a stimulus standpoint to do the opposite, depending on what races you're training for. But yeah, uphill to start, downhill to finish. Easy answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest answer for me. The other part is that I've got old bones. I don't feel good running downhill until I'm very loose.
Yeah.
So I don't want to start downhill. I feel creaky and achy and everything hurts if I just start. There's the place I do my biggest hill workouts at. There is a parking lot higher up behind the hill, or there's one down at the bottom. And if I ever use the one at the top, I have to start down a gradual trail first, and my body protests the entire way down. And then after a rep or two coming down, suddenly I feel good again. So start me up, finish me down. Let me just rip and empty it to the finish.
Yeah, there's something to say just about getting the core body temperature up, getting that sweat going, that muscle fascia all starts loosening up, becoming a little more pliable. And you're right. You said you had old bones. Is that it? Just old bones? Muscles are fine.
I've always felt bad downhill until I'm
early.
loose.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. But
yeah, even back, like back in the early NBC series days of Spartan, I'd have to run a few downhill strides before the race. Otherwise, I was not confident that I'd even be able to run the first downhill hard.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a big argument to be made about, being able to run uphill well after pounding downhills, especially if you're a trail racer on aggressive terrain. But for pure enjoyment purposes, it's easy to make that the answer. Yeah.
All right. This next one's not one I ever expected to see. And Colleen, Mom, I'm going to curse. I'm sorry. I felt like the most badass runner when blank.
Is badass a curse? Is that a curse word, Colleen?
I mean, in our family, absolutely.
I'm trying to think if I've ever heard you
if any of the kids are outside the door right now, they are standing there aghast, mouth hanging wide open, what they just heard come out of this. Because I have the door cracked because it's been hot and humid again. So again, this room is small and has no AC, so I have the door cracked and they can hear me. So if they heard that, I'm in trouble. I have some explaining to do when I get out of here.
I don't think you've ever sworn in my presence. I'm trying to think of a single instance. It's just not in your vernacular.
I guess not.
You're a better person
Clean
than I
living,
am.
Kirk.
You're a better
Clean
person than
living.
I am. In that one very specific regard. I felt like the most badass when, and it's funny, my mind went right. Two things come to mind. I'm going to stay recent. Big Bear 2019 U.S. National Series race. Out of my element. I took fifth or sixth place there, which is nothing astounding, but for where I was at. And we come up to the double sandbag carry 10 miles into that race. And I come in like 10th. And it's up a 40-degree slope, maybe we say. I mean, not a joke. It is on your toes. And I come in about 10th, 11th, within striking distance. It was a tight race. And there's Mike Ferguson just laying on the ground like, he's just screaming. His sandbags are next to him. Right there's Mark Botras, just crumbled under the weight, just done. There's Glenn Race in the same position. And then there's Kirk, mother effing DeWindt. Get those up on the shoulders. And I went by those losers like they were standing still. In fact, they were just whimpering with their thumbs in their mouth. And I never set those things down. I went through the entire carry. And I propelled myself all the way from like 11th to 7th. And not only propelled, I reclimbed the mountain after dropping the sandbags off. And there was nobody in sight behind me. They were still just licking their wounds. And I crest that next hill, and then it's a final descent. And if I was running 3:30 pace down that last descent, I wouldn't be surprised. And I went by Ryan Kent like he had a broken leg. I came pounding into the festival area, and there's Woodsy and Killian still there, made up all that time. And in a course in which I was suffering immensely, which should not be in my wheelhouse at 8,000 feet above sea level. It's the most badass I've ever felt in a race. Mm-hmm. Being able to just use my grit and my strength to my advantage. I would say that would be the most badass I felt in a race. It's 5 years ago.
Okay. This is a tough one for me, but I think just the best I've ever felt about myself in terms of like just a tough, strong endurance athlete would have been out in Colorado Springs doing the incline. Because there's such disparity. The incline really shows the disparity in fitness levels. You can't fake it. And if you're running, it stands out. And I did a workout out there with a sandbag where I did the incline for time and then did it for time again with a sandbag. And I was jogging sections of it and dying on others. But that was probably the most I ever felt like I was a superhuman, because it was probably noon that day. And it was hot, and people are cramping to the side, and like, there's always someone cramping and crying, and then there's people in this shade sitting down and dousing themselves with water, and I'm walk jogging with the sandbag on round 2 after I've already passed them on round 1, working hard. It was like, it wasn't for time, but it was like 2 rounds for time kind of thing. So it just felt like I have gotten my fitness to the point where I'm doing something that's unfathomable to the people around me. And that just makes you feel good. I felt a bit like a douche for being out there with a sandbag on the incline around people. That's the kind of workout you want to get done early in the morning, so you don't look like you're doing it as a showpiece. But when it's hot and that sun exposed on that trail, which anyone who's been on the incline, once the sun's up, there's no hiding from it there. It was just it felt like a very badass moment.
That is a badass moment. And you know when you're like running some pretty aggressive trails and you come by hikers, and most are very like, oh, look at you go, way to go, as they're hiking and working pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And so you get a lot of comments when you're running aggressive trails alone, let alone I have to imagine the comments with a sandbag on the incline, like the little chirps at you, had to be the most you've ever received.
They almost, no one said anything to me that day. It was just to each other. Like, did you see that? And I was in full out suffer mode. Like, I had a sprinkler coming off my face. It's hot. You know how it is on a heavy carry. You just drip during a heavy carry, and
you weren't looking down, inviting, and I was just dripping to talk to. So
I don't think anyone would have wanted to interrupt it. I was clearly in the middle of it, and just all I could see was look down at the steps, and I was just watching my face drip for like, I don't know, almost a half hour. But it was that was a tough workout. Getting to the top and then being able to run back down the trail with a sandbag was very encouraging for fitness.
The other one I was waffling over, if we're going to be bragging, I'm proud of this one, is in recent times. The last Tracksmith Twilight 5000, I was 40. The next youngest in the field was 36 or 37, and then everybody else was in the 20s. I felt like I was weighing over my head, a bunch of scrawny runner guys, and then I could tell, like, no, these guys are younger and I'm bigger. And remember having a conversation beforehand, and it's like, Joe Zach is racing, and he just ran 4:04 in the mile, like, a month prior. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I am so far in over my head, Brakken. Like, there's a 4:04. He just ran this. He just is collegiate. And I ran ahead of Joe Zach for 2 miles, and he was right on my shoulders, and I ended up 5th place in this race. And I remember running, and Joe was right behind me, and I was so scared of this kid, knowing, like, I could take last in this race. And so that race where I was leading somebody with a credential like that, and of course he ended up beating me by 15 seconds or 17 in the last mile. He just left me. But taking age, size, and then the competition into consideration, I actually in the moment felt like I'm the man, and I'm way outperforming what I should be. And that's a good feeling to have. And I haven't had that feeling in a while. In such an objective race. So that was the other one I was waffling over, but it's a little less inspiring.
Well, and there's something cool about, you showed up 25 pounds heavier than anyone else in the field, probably at least 15. And to look out of place and then perform like you belong is a pretty cool thing to do. Yeah. And Joe Zach that summer beat me in that Road 800.
Oh, sure.
He's got wheels.
Yeah.
On top of endurance. So, yeah.
Felt good.
He got us both that year. Within a month of each other.
Yes, he did.
All right. This is a tricky one. I scrolled ahead and saw this while you were talking there, and I don't have an answer in mind. So, good luck. If you could recommend any running-related item to a new runner, what would it be?
Oh, easy. This is easy. Oh my God, Brakken, come on, you're better than this. What's the obvious answer? Everybody think right now as you're listening to this. New runner. What is the one
80-20 running by Matt Fitzgerald?
Oh, no, that's not what I was thinking.
Or
what
GPS
are you screaming
watch?
at your headphones? GPS watch, thank you. The first thing that any new runner could, benefit the most from is a high-end GPS watch. There's no other answer. I think you're right. The philosophy of 80-20 running, if you could start somebody with that, that's a really good answer. But there's no other contender than
that's
a
where
GPS
I'm starting.
watch. Yeah.
I'd rather have them have the book than a watch. You and I got started running off our kitchen, our stove timer.
Yeah.
Right? And your dad driving you out 14 miles with the odometer. A GPS watch, especially a high-end, is totally superfluous. But knowing why and how to run is worth its weight in gold. So I'm going to say 80-20 running by Matt Fitzgerald for the new runner, followed shortly by a low to mid-level GPS watch.
Paired with a heart rate monitor.
Paired with a heart rate monitor.
We missed a very good opportunity to self-promote. The best thing a new runner...
Running public. That's what a new runner needs.
The running public training plan. Even though it's good for very seasoned runners, let's get you at some purposeful. We'll teach you along the way. Give them a perfect new runner subscription, the book, a GPS watch paired with an external heart rate monitor, and the running public training plan for $19.99 a month. And that runner is going to be set up for success.
That's all you need.
All you need.
All right. Do you prefer to run in shorts or tights?
Like half tights or long tights?
For the sake of this, let's say half tights. Compression shorts. Running shorts or compression shorts?
So I run in both the same amount, like of time. Like one run will be compression, one run will be shorts, open shorts, split shorts. But for me, it's a business.
It seemed if we were doing the 2 truths and a lie episode, I would say that's a lie, because I have never once in my entire life seen you run in shorts.
Mm-hmm. Right, because those are all my recovery days, and all of my non-flashy work is all done in shorts. Business trips, compression. Long runs that may turn into a progression, compression. My runs this week so far, recovery run, granted I'm sick and want to run slow, I've only run in regular shorts this week. Those are my go chill days. But when I care, compression. So it's just something about putting on, like, it's like putting on your spikes.
I prefer to run in shorts.
And you like to show off your thighs.
I prefer to run in shorts. I prefer not to look like I'm shrink wrapping deli meat in front of people. I don't
that prospect.
Like that. I prefer to run in shorts, but my true preference is my favorite season to run in is fall or winter, and then I like compression shorts with a long sleeve shirt. That's my favorite pairing. That's what I feel the best running in. But throughout summer, give me shorts.
I'm going to tangent us real quick. There's a sorry. There was a moment in our last episode where I was like, oh, I thought of something and then I couldn't remember it. And I think I said it out loud, and it just came to me right now as you were talking about your sausage.
All right. Goodness.
This is going to make sense in a second. If we were talking about races to watch, and one of my fears with split shorts is exposing yourself. And I can't believe this is what slipped my mind.
Cross.
No, steeplechase. I think it was 2019 or 2020. You guys have to go back. And then it happens again in the Olympic trials, I think, to the same guy. There's a runner from BYU whose testicle comes out, his balls come out of his shorts, and it's visible the entire race. And his shorts, the BYU shorts were like 2-inch inseam shorts. They were the shortest shorts. And the guy was set up
really
for failure.
Floppy.
Yes. And when you go to jump over barriers, it stretches the under nether region, and his testicles popped out and they're exposed the entire race. And just for novelty's sake, and he runs well. And then it happens again in the Olympic trials. It was a trials year, so it must have been 4 years ago, 2020. Happens to the same guy again. So go back and watch.
Brooks?
I think so. And he's a monster, too. And the guy owned it. He didn't care at all. Yeah. Proud. Anyways, go back, watch the 2020 NCAA men's steeplechase final. And it's not like close up. You're not like, oh, it's a graphic image. It's just like, what's going on down there? And then you realize, and then it's like sort of entertaining. So I meant to mention that in our last episode. Go watch that race.
Yeah. And that is why Kirk and I highly suggest, specifically for men, that you find a good pair of running underwear and you wear that under whatever you're going to wear. Containment is of the highest order when you're running. Would you rather run a 5K or a marathon? And I'm going to adjust that to, would you rather race a 5K or a marathon?
A 5K for 100,000 reasons. What about you?
Road 5K, trail marathon. That's my answer. Or mountain marathon.
Why the differentiator?
There's something deeply ingrained in you and I with trying to run fast times. It comes from being middle school, high school, collegiate track athletes. And the 5K is basically the shortest available commonly run distance for U.S. citizens. Not citizens, but people in the United States. It's really tough. You can find a road mile from time to time, but that's about it. So the 5K is the closest thing that will tug on our heartstrings. I've still yet to have any interest in training for and executing a road marathon. I know you've gotten there with that interest level. I just can't wrap my mind around what's going to be required of me to do that yet. But I have run trail 50Ks, and those have been a blast. Mountain 50Ks as well. So give me a road 5K where I can just run as hard as I can for time, or give me a trail or mountain marathon where I can do a bit of both.
That's fair. The 5K, it's not going to impact your training. Like, if you're going to go truly race, like, there's a whole cycle that needs to be restarted after, like, hitting a marathon. If you're riding or, threading the needle with your performance. A 5K, you could race every week-ish without negative ramifications or needing to take time off. I think if you're truly training for a 5K, I think you could probably race up to the half and down to whatever if you're doing it right. And it keeps you available. So I'm more thinking about the aftermath. In fact, I think the training for the marathon, all of that, I think I'm just thinking you're going to have to pivot afterwards for a little bit as you regather, recover, and then get yourself back up to speed. So I'm more thinking like sensibly, like the act of it as well. Like the 5K is 15 to 30 minutes of intense pain. The marathon is 2 to 5 hours of a slow death. And then you have to pay repercussions afterwards for weeks. And so just for those reasons.
Can't argue with any of that.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that, Kirk.
Cool.
All right, next one. What's your go-to pre-run or race snack? And since you and I don't do pre-run food generally, let's make it pre-quality run or pre-race.
Yeah. I don't, even if it's a session I care about, like if I've eaten 3 hours previously, like I'm not going to put a Stinger waffle in my system before or anything. I just go work. You're the same way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not like fasted run advocates all that much. I think there's a ton of benefit for it the longer your racing is, but it's more just a matter of convenience. We have touchy stomachs, and if you're capable of just getting up and running, then that's simpler.
I don't need to spend much time on this. Bobos and a banana could not be more perfect for me. Or just 2 Bobos, or a Bobo and a half. Bobo is an oatmeal bar. It's an oat bar.
How many times can we say Bobo there? Just a Bobo. Oh, 2 Bobos. A Bobo and a half.
Bobo and a banana. They go well together. In a Bobo bar
and a banana
is 360 calories. There's a little fat in there because they got some coconut oil in there. They sit so well. It's a great fuel. It's got just enough sugar in it. Add a banana to top off the carb stores. I could have that a half an hour before I leave, or I could have it 2 hours before I run. And either way, it's going to serve me exactly correct. The sweet spot lately has been a Bobo and a half and a banana. I think that's the perfect amount. So I'm going to stand on that. What about you?
Bobo and a half and a banana.
Bobo and a half and a banana.
Mine's pretty simple as well. Uncrustables and baby food. Baby food pouches from Aldi recently. Not recently, for the last few years. That's all I need in my life.
So you will actually...
Easy to digest, high caloric content.
So like in the morning, you will... Like you can't make yourself a PB&J. You literally just open a prepackaged Uncrustable and then eat some baby food?
I'm talking race.
Okay.
Before a big workout, it's, either not eating anything in the morning or I'm making a peanut butter and jelly bagel.
A lot of
Cinnamon raisin, ideally, for the bagel from Thomas, probably.
Is Thomas the orange? He's got orange packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have nothing against making your own PB&J. It's just a matter of convenience on race day.
Yeah, I just travel with them. That's it. Freeze them, travel, throw them in the hotel fridge, pop them in the next day. And what I do like about them is there's less bread on it compared to making your own generally. It's just easier to digest and chew in the morning when all I want to do is expel anything out of my body that tries going down my throat. It just wants to come back out. I found that these things are palatable, especially the baby food. There are times where I go to eat my Uncrustable, I open my mouth, it gets part way in, and I say, nope. I put it back down, and then I just have a couple more baby food pouches to make up for it.
Because of the nerves?
Yep. Yeah, because my body's a jerk.
People seem to want to stay away from fat the morning of a race, and I find if I'm just pure baby food or whatever you want to call it, it goes through me so quick, and then I just feel like I need more, where I want a little fat in the morning, like the peanut butter with your Uncrustables or the coconut oil in the Bobos. Yep. I like it. It sticks a little better. I need that. It doesn't seem to be a stomach upsetter for me, so it's just wedge that in there, I figure.
Yeah. When you can't run, what type of cross training do you choose to do?
Assault bike. 10 out of 10 times. The only exception is if I'm craving some sunshine, I'll go get on my bike and actually get outside. And the reason I like the assault bike is it takes very little mental effort to get the heart rate up, much like running. Running takes very little mental effort to get the heart rate up. It's just a byproduct of the nature of that movement. And so even if I'm not feeling like mentally engaging, I can get my heart rate up into a recovery zone on the assault bike with very little mental effort. And that's important. To not have to expend effort. Like if you were on a road bike, you have to push pretty hard and burn the quads up pretty bad to get your heart rate where you want it to. Same can go for some other modalities. So it's literally just the best tool if I want to work easy and not try, which I know is confusing maybe, verbiage, or if I want to work hard and get the heart rate up. The assault bike covers all ends of this spectrum for me. So that's the best, I think. What about you?
Yeah, and when I think can't run, my mind instantly goes injured. Maybe that's our history, but if we can run, we run. And if we can't, then the assault bike allows me to use it with almost any type of running injury. There are very few types of running injuries that you can't work through on an assault bike, so that's just the number one. And then 2 and 3 in order would be incline hiking on our Nordic track, which is why we bought that goes up to 40%, and then the rower. More and more I find power to the rower. But if I could only have one, I still choose the incline trainer. But if it's truly non-impact, assault bike. And I don't think it's close.
I think it takes a little more mental effort on the rower and a little more mental effort on incline hiking to get the heart rate where I want. I still find, I think the assault bike, for me, and maybe it's just because I use it so much, that's where I'm the most efficient, but I can get the heart rate response I want on there. No matter what I'm trying to achieve. And the rower, for some reason, I still have to engage with the rower to get my heart rate to go and
I
stay
only use
anywhere.
it to work.
Okay. And it's a great tool to work.
I only use it for work.
Yep. Yeah. And this is my own personal bias coming through.
You are correct on that.
With mostly like a cross-training recovery day is how I use it right now because I'm running my quality days. And that's where I'm looking at it through that lens.
Yep, makes sense. All right, this is a difficult one, and I'm going to give my classic convoluted answer here. Would you rather run without music or without your GPS? And I'll lump podcasts or audiobooks into there. Run without headphones or run without GPS?
Like perpetually?
I know what you'll say. Perpetually.
I can run without music or entertainment, so I'll go with that. My GPS, I'm too compulsive to not need that. So watch for sure. What about you?
I'm gonna straddle the line as always, hedge my bets. I'm going to say I could do all my quality workouts till the end of time with no music or audio or anything. Just I need my GPS watch. Easy recovery days. I don't care about Strava. I don't. Give me something to listen to, and I will disappear into the woods and come out when I'm ready to be done. I don't care what my metrics are. If I could only choose one thing, though, for the rest of my life, give me my GPS watch.
Oh,
I do have like my sweet tooth in life is listening to audiobooks or music while doing easy and long runs. That's my sweet tooth.
Yeah, I would pick watch on days that matter and audio on days that don't. I would map a route out from my phone or on my computer and have a general idea of how far I'm going, and I would just listen, and who cares what the metrics are. I could not agree with you more. But you can't do that. You have to pick one, and the metrics matter enough to me, so GPS. I'll run in silence for the remainder of eternity, whatever.
Yeah.
And aren't you like this, like on quality days? I can have 3, 4, 10 songs play, and I don't even know what's on. It becomes white noise when I get locked in. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on anyways.
And I think I talked about this on here. I may have mentioned it, I may have not, but I found myself doing something just in the last, like, probably 2 years, maybe a year. As the run gets real, I find myself pausing my music.
Oh.
As I get to the last rep or two, or as I'm cutting down hard or a long tempo or something, sometimes I find myself needing the right playlist, and other times I find it just shut up, get out of my ears. Let me just do this. And I've never had that before. Yeah. It's been an interesting development.
Yeah, and then you always waffle over, like, I do listen to music when I do quality sessions, podcasts, or books when I do easy. But then you show up on race day, and let's say you run this half marathon, like then you got to be like in a new environment, silence for that race. And what does that do to you, if anything? It's hard to know. Should we do one more question? I think it's hard to hear
your own gasping if you're not used to it.
Yeah, I agree. One more question based on the time we have.
Well, we only have 2 left, and I'm going to try to squeeze them both in.
Okay.
Take that.
I'll take it.
If you could relive any race you have done in the past, which one would it be? And I think you can answer both from I want to just feel that again, and from I'd like to have that one back. I'll give you one of each.
If I could relive, for the sake of reliving, because I don't think I appreciated it enough at the time, would be my sophomore year of high school. I was a sophomore. We were running the 4x8. The other 3 on that were seniors, and I was the anchor leg. And I ran well enough to get us to state. Held off the other team. We went to state. Those other 3 seniors had never been. And I took us home when we got there. And I remember the embrace. I feel like I got lifted up afterwards. It was I think it was one of the moments that hooked me on this sport for life. And I'll never forget that. And we went to state, and I think we laid an egg. It doesn't even matter. But at sectionals, when we went, that moment, I don't think I understood at the time how important that was for my development. But I would love to go back and do that one. Maybe just watch it as a fly on the wall, just to see what that was like. So that would be the one I'd like to relive. Which one would you like to relive?
Probably not what anyone would have expected. The 2019, I believe, Spartan Ultra in Tahoe. Because I have a very good, very dialed in movie-like memory for most of the races I've ever run. I can kind of relive them. The good ones. The bad ones, I can never fully recall if it was as bad as I thought it was and if I was making the correct decisions. And I quit and DNF'd that. And I'd like to relive that entire race and see where it went wrong and if it was me or if it was my body. I wonder about that one all the time. I DNF'd at the top of the mountain. I had one mini climb left, and then it was all downhill from there. And for the life of me, I can't recall if it was as bad as I thought it was. And I want to relive that. And no.
Bit of hypothermia. You were starting to go backwards in the field. I believe that was the combination.
And which one mattered more is what I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Did I lean into one or the other? And I want to know that.
You went there to land on the podium.
Like that finish result.
And you realized it was slipping and wasn't coming back. It was probably the sum of all parts, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, and one means something and the other one means something, and I'd really like to know that.
And the one I'd like to take back.
If I could redo one, go ahead.
No, you can finish.
If I could redo one of all the races I could redo, I would redo the Spartan Race Bahamas. Or the final 800 I ran of my life as a senior in college. Both I made small, momentary mistakes, and I'll never know what could have been. And both of those frustrate me to this day. Bahamas, we had an elevated throwing position for the spear throw, and it was John Albin, Ryan Atkins, and myself in third. And within a second, I had caught them, and I was feeling phenomenal. And we still had 2 swims left, and I was eating into people on the swim. And we threw from an elevated position, and I skimmed the top of the target. It just brushed the top as it went over. And any other time, I would have taken into account that I was in an elevated position, and I was glancing at John and Ryan because that's rarefied air to be around, and I rushed it. And I never screw up the spear like that. And then in college, I paused making a move on the leader who was starting to slow on the backstretch of the last chance meet in the 800. I decided to wait for 2 or 3 more strides. We were at about 260 to go, and I decided to wait till like 220 to go to make my move around right before the turn. And someone else made the move, and I got bumped back in, and then the entire field went around me before I could get out. And I finished, got out of that, kicked all the way through, accelerated the whole way through, ran my PR, and crossed the line feeling like I had run 1 lap. Really feeling fresh, really feeling good, and just knowing that was my day. You don't get many days like that on track, especially in the 800. And it was a night race at North Central. It just was like the perfect experience. And I finished with no lactate feeling in my legs, like no burn in my lungs. I walked across the line like, shoot, that was it. That was my one to pop one. And I PR'd still, but I didn't find out what my ceiling was in the 8, and I haven't trained for an 8 or ever run one again since, because you're not in college. Why would you? But that was it. I left time on the table that day, and I'll never know how much time.
What'd you run that day? What was your time?
153.4.
Think you could have got dipped under 153 if you did it right? 152 and change?
I do, yeah. I do. Yeah. I think a 52.9 was on the table that day. And that's a world apart, but I would have had that, and that would have been nice to know.
It's 10 meters. 10 meters is a long ways. It's a big gap. The one I would like to get back, I run this one through my head still to this day, and I'm falling out of love with OCR and Spartan racing a bit in these last few years. That's no surprise to anybody. Although I do love the sport, just the top end of the sport is what I'm falling out of love with. And I had a real bad mishap at the San Luis Obispo spear throw a couple of years ago where I was racing well. I spent a minute there untangling stuff, got flustered. I mean, I went from, I don't know, 5th fighting to potentially even charge for a podium. I ended up 18th place. Not only did I spend a minute at the spear throw, untangling crap, panicking right next to the guys I wanted to be racing with, and I had to do 30 burpees after I missed in my panic. And I had the best fitness going into any race I've ever had, and it was the worst finish I've ever had in a Spartan race, which is what's so glorious about Spartan racing, the unpredictables and the unknowns. Man, would I have loved to get that one back.
I believe that.
It's tough to watch.
I believe it.
All right, are we doing the last one, or are we done?
Yeah, and that spear throw in the Bahamas. Now we'll be done. We'll be done here. In that Bahamas race where I missed my spear throw, I think I've missed 5 spears in 10 years, and that was one of them. And both the guys missed to the left of me. And Isaiah Vidal won that. And he was probably 30 seconds behind us at that point.
Ugh.
And I think he won like $5,000 and was kind of a rock star on the cruise after that. And like there's this huge presentation ceremony in the main hall of the cruise, and I ended up taking, after burpees and everything, like 6th or 7th, and got like $1,200 or something. But it was like a $4,000 spear throw miss, which multiple people could claim that day, but it was an avoidable miss. But that same thing, like it wasn't a fitness thing that cost you the race.
Yep.
And you just don't know how it would have finished, but you know it would have gone better than what it did. And actually, John made it, but he ran off course, so he ended up finishing 3rd or 4th or something like that. So the win was there for the first person to hit the spear. The win was there, and I blew it.
So what's beautiful about OCR, and it's one aspect, is you know that other people are, in quotes, faster than you, and you can still win the race. And you can have great fitness, and nobody would ever know by the results. Keeps you hungry, keeps you like constantly striving to be better. There's so many aspects to work that it draws you in and keeps you there, which is what I do love and miss about it. But it can also work out where you feel real bad about yourself crossing that finish line. So I know you got to go, so we need to wrap this. And I think I'm running out of juice today myself, so I think it's time.
All right. Well, you get a nap. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your friendly reminder. The United States Olympic trials begin tomorrow. It begins the day you'll hear this. Watch it. Enjoy it. There's the 10K final is Friday night. After that, you'll wait a little bit for some finals, but it's good racing. The 10K alone is a great race. Most people never say, I can't wait to watch a 10,000 meter run, but at the Olympic trials, it's electric. Please watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna see racing, not time trialing, and that's the best part about the Olympic trials. It's racing at its finest.
I might even put this up tonight, Kirk, just so that people have an extra few hours to remind themselves to watch it.
Mm-hmm. It's worth going out of your way to make it happen. All right, folks, thank you for listening. We will catch you next week.